All right, welcome to the code. What we call it? The code catch up. Code catch up. It's not the Casey catch up. The code catch up. We got the four. Well, I guess we're owners of Code, and we're pretty excited because we're about to release to the world our foil that we've been working on for a while. So I kind of wanted to get us all together and share with everyone what it is we're releasing and where they're going to be able to get them, and I guess just a bit of a info for people that are interested. So I might start with Dan. Maybe you can go through what's coming.
So we're pretty excited. We've got at the moment the first drop. We've got one front wing, 850S, paired with either a 75 or an 85 centimetre mast, and medium fuse, which we can get into the length at some stage, and a 150 square centimetre tail called the 150 AR. It's working in a lot of different conditions with a lot of different for a lot of different disciplines. So it's a really good product to be releasing, and it's working across a variety of weights and skill levels. So that's probably a little bit of an introduction.
For sure. Matt, it's probably worth going through a bit of the history of how we came up with the 850, and without giving away any secrets, I guess, but like why we came up with that size as our first one, and why we're releasing with that first. So maybe you go to Marcus for that.
Cool. We did a couple of prototypes and stuff here in WA, and we were kind of looking for that size wing. A lot of us were using lift at that stage over here, and we wanted something with just a smidge more lift, I guess. So that was kind of what we're going for lift-wise. Just to give you a ballpark of where it sits lift-wise, I guess, that's the good thing. As far as the way it foils and stuff, I'd say it's fairly different. It does have a little bit more bottom end. It's designed just to be an all-round foil. I think we generally in Perth are winging a lot and downwind and prone just only through winter. And it was kind of just worked out to be that foil that worked well for me at 65 kilos, and Dan was still using it at 85, kind of across all those three disciplines. And that's kind of that sort of range we're looking for. And then we were just trying to, over the course of the prototypes, we were looking to make it what it is now, really. Like we're looking for the qualities of a foil that breaches the tips well, has plenty of glide and a big range, so plenty of bottom end but plenty of top end. I think that we're all pretty happy with the results. We're pretty confident in what we've done. I think that was how we came about it. I don't know if I'm missing anything there or went overboard, but it's I think that's kind of the story behind it.
What was pretty cool last year was when we were making the prototypes of the front wings, and Marcus and Ben would be collaborating on this kind of digital file, and we'd go sit in the back shed of my house where we had the CNC set up. We'd spend a week cutting this thing and bagging it with belly. Then you'd get this out on the water, and you could see little smidges of things that were really exciting about the section and the foil and the glide and how easy it was going to come up. And, I remember jumping in the water with Marcus off North Mole here, and, you just got these little tastes of these prototypes, which guys like Donnie just kept using for the next 3 months or something. And then we'd make another one. And, eventually we committed to a mold in a factory, and it turned out really, really good, So, that was a really exciting kind of development of the wing. It definitely wasn't a fluke. There's a lot of hard work in it, but just going for that glidey, really rangy foil was pretty exciting.
Yeah, that's one of the things that everyone that's demoed them, we had 2 guys demo them here in Scott's Head this week, or just this Saturday. And the glide people are blown away with, and then the ability that it turns. And they were mainly surf foiling. But even guys that are wing foiling and guys that sort of, and downwind foiling, they're so surprised at, one, the ability to sort of save yourself when you get a bit slow, so the low end, but then also how quick it goes in a straight line, but then also how it turns. So I remember when we were talking about the name of the foil and the S series, which we'll go into, but we were like, I was like, S doesn't stand for surf, does it? And they're like, and the reason I said it's because it's more than just a surf foil. Like it does more than just surf. To me, it's an all-round foil because it does literally downwind, wing, bellies, flat water, like dock starting it, winging, downwind, surf, dock start. I don't know, what else do you want to do with the foil? I feel like that's kind of covers all bases.
Yeah. Yeah, Belly's a freak with the dock start, but won't be everyone's dock start wing. But it's pretty versatile for sure. I think, hopefully people find the same.
I think it's not the only foil we had for like 3 months, and every session I was like, oh, I'm happy on it. The first session I had was like a 12 knot downwind, and it was fine. And then the next session was a prone surf, it was fine. So there wasn't another foil I wanted to be on except it. So I was happy to have that one set up for 3 months, and still use it more than most other things anyway.
What is cool too is you guys are like, you're intense critics as well, So if you weren't happy with it, it would have been back to the drawing board, Yeah,
we've had other prototypes that have come from the factory, and look, we know there's things that can be improved, whereas the 850 seemed to be that first one that came in, and it was like I tried it. You came down to Sydney and I tried it out. It was a winging. I mean, downwinded first. It was super messy conditions.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Downwind.
Yeah, you call it downwind, but that's just like Sydney.
Sidewind.
It was pretty onshore, but he was only there for 2 days or 3 days, so I was like, I got to get out and try downwind. So that's what I did the first time, and I think I paddled up like first go, and I did like a 202 or something, like stupid speeds, like for a foil that's, I guess it's not necessarily a downwind foil. It's not designed specifically for downwind at all. And then like turning, and it was just, then we winged it and I surfed it, and the to me the stability in whitewater was nuts. I did a turn. I think I put it up on sort of, it was a grainy sort of one of a camcorder. Wasn't the best footage. You filmed it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
At Butterbox.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And it was like,
the whole place is turbulent.
Yeah, it was all turbulent. It was just all mess, and I did this late back end whitewater hit, and I don't even know why I went for it, because it's not a turn I normally go for. But the code 850 on my first surf felt like I had the right to go for it, and just fully stuck it like without even a wobble. It was nuts. And that's, even today we're out surfing a little beach break, and the S series just, I don't know, it's crazy. It gives me a lot of confidence in the surf, that's for sure. Attacking sections I wouldn't normally. So for wingers and downwind crew in like real messy water, turbulent water, I feel like I'm excited to hear their feedback, because in the mess that we're getting in the surf here on the East Coast, it's been really, really good. Like
the messy downwind sections, it's pretty great. Like you can just be super confident.
Yeah.
you can be pretty radical for a downwind wing. Not that it's a downwind wing, but you can do things to get you where you want to go in some pretty shitty water when you're going downwind.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of been one of the most surprising things for me. We've got the demo in the shop where I work, and people try it of kind of all levels, and just people who are maybe still learning to get their first link ups in the surf, or whatever, still kind of learning to jibe or whatever, they get on it and they're like really surprised that for some reason it has a bit of this stigma of being a very like a high performance foil. I've heard it's come back to me a few times where guys are like, oh, I'm not really ready for the code, maybe one day. Kind of now I've got the confidence from the people that have tried it and the feedback of just saying, no, just try it. We've had a lot of guys of all levels really love it. That's kind of been the most surprising thing for me. And that white water stability, I don't really go there. So, we all used it for a month or two, and then Jimmy got on it and he was going places that, I'm too scared to go. So it's kind of...
It goes good on the shoulder too.
It goes good on the shoulder. I can't
real stable on the shoulder.
It's very good. But under lips and stuff, it's been really cool to watch Jimmy go to places where I haven't really seen him go previously on it, and it's, I think, like not many people are going there, period. So it's kind of almost getting to surf where it's up under the lip and kind of these weird floaters and stuff. It's cool. I think it's forgiving. It's got a big range, and I think people it seems like people can get along with it pretty well. So
I taught a YouTuber hit me up. His name's Laurie Shaw. Check him out. He does some pretty cool things. But he hit me up. He wanted to learn to foil, and he wanted to learn to do a double dip where you like a 2-for-1, so paddle into one wave and link another. That was his goal. He wanted to be able to do that in 2 weeks. And I was like, oh no, man. Like, some people take years to do that. Like, it's not that easy a thing to do. And first session, he got pretty close. Like, this is on a brand new, like, he foiled before, and he'd done a little bit of toe foiling, but on some like older gear, so like pretty dated gear. So I said, okay, if we're going to do this, you got to use the code gear, because we're just about to launch it. He was okay, yeah, let's do that. And we did 3 lessons, and in the first lesson it was pretty good surf, but the period was really big, and I was worried he was going to get too much lift, so I put the box pretty far back with the 850. But he literally got up, and surfers having a bit of a he surfs, so surfers having a bit of a generally they stand too far back when they foil and they get too much lift. With the 850, the way I had it set up further back in the box was he could never stand too far back. So that saved his takeoff. So really good for learning in terms of learning in the waves for the first time. And then he nearly linked a wave on that first session. It was nuts. And then we had another session that was a little bit crowded with other foilers. And then our final session just 5 days ago at Longreef, really small surf. On the 850, he took off on a first wave of the set, pulled off, like without even pumping pretty much, linked the one behind. He actually thought he thought it didn't count. He's like, that didn't count, did it? I'm like, why not? You were on one wave and you went to another. He's like, I'd have to pump those. Like, yeah, maybe that's the foil. And so he said, I want to do another one. So we waited like another, it was pretty slow. We waited another 25 minutes and another wave came. We got the first wave of the set, pumped about 30 meters to the wave behind, turned, and I thought he'd turned too early. I thought he'd blown it, but he just continued to pump and the wave caught up to him and he linked it. I'm like, dude, you're a freak. Like, people take like years to do that. And he's like, oh, okay, cool. I guess my training's paid off. Pretty intensive for 2 weeks, but I'm excited to see that progression because I got a lot of footage. But it just shows that it's a good foil to learn on, especially for surfers, I think. Because like I remember when I was teaching my brother on on a go-fall setup, which is generally more front-footed, he's always been a very back-footed surfer. He was just launching into the air. And so I actually called him up the other day. I said, mate, you got to try our new foils because he's just been surfing lately. I said, we'll get you back on the foil when we get our new code gear. He's like, okay. I said, I think it'll work better for you because it's a little bit more back-footed than the go-fall setup, because he was just any sort of turbulence, he'd go flying with the original stuff. It's like 5 years ago we're talking. But yeah, pretty cool, I reckon, how it's like you said, it's not necessarily, it's definitely not a performance foil. And a lot of people get freaked out by the size of it, 850 being pretty small, but it's a pretty lifty 850, really.
Yeah. There's a lot of guys here, then they take you kind of go past or you're out there and you see the there's always someone with it as a demo and they're pumping around, and it's really good to see, So, and sometimes you go out there and we've got a few sets floating around because obviously here we've done a lot of testing. You might look out to sea and there's 4 or 5 people on code gear like pumping around the back, Yeah. So yeah, it's exciting to see.
And there's only one wave in Perth, so everyone is on it.
For sure. Yeah, you've demoed out a fair bit.
Yeah, and I think the size, all the feedback's been really good. Try to stay humble and chilled about it, but yeah, it's been really positive. And I don't give the person my opinion when they take it. I just go for a spin. And I haven't, everyone's come back, pretty over the moon. And like on the learning side of things, I think the size is a benefit that you can pack the lift into a small foil because there's less foil to kill you. So it's like, if you're in the water, there's less foil that's going to come after you.
So it can be kind of high aspect-ish, but not crazy span. So that's kind of what's given it a little bit of that kind of magic, I guess. But
yeah, gives that efficiency.
I think it's
that stiffness across the whole setup too, masked from all the joins. They're really stiff. Everything kind of transfers to a little bit more efficiency.
What was the word? What was the word for the whole design process, Dan? Is it meat?
Oh yeah.
Give it some more meat.
It's always a millimetre or a millimetre, or then you kind of go backwards and be like, too much meat.
A bit more meat, thanks, Dan.
We're talking to the vegetarians here too.
Yeah, fully.
I guess that's another thing. That's part of the control feeling that you feel in the turbulence. It's probably one of the most noted differences between the code gear and other stuff. I guess fuse size. It's quite kind of chunky.
Meaty.
And the meaty. Yeah, the meaty. Yeah. And the way it all is, it's been designed around like good connections and stiff connections and like less connections, I guess. The front wing bolts directly to the mast with a big fuse. So there's a gap from the front wing to the mast, and you don't want the fuse twisting and stuff like that. So there's thought has gone into that. It's not like we've gone, we just need a slick fuse that needs to be, the fuse needs to be stiff too. It's like, people look at mast stiffness and, there's so much more to it than that. There's connections and front wing stiffness, fuse stiffness, twist, it's all built into it.
That tail, even the tails, a lot of the prototyping that we did with the tails, it was, they were squishy. How do we stiffen this up? Go back to the drawing board, work out these blends a little bit better.
The surface, the mounting area, we had to make bigger because it was,
we changed that so many times. Thin to the point that it was not working, and then it came thick, then it was too thick, then we came back in. So we're pretty happy that we've refined it so much.
And you can make
those things.
You can make everything super aerodynamic and small, but you lose all what you gain because every time you put energy into your foil, there's just so much flex and twist. So what I feel like with our chunky setup, we don't lose any energy when we pump, and we gain so much more from that than what we would from a smaller fuse. So the trade-off works in the favour of a more chunky fuse with like way better connections.
Yeah, more
My
direct.
coil before ours was a one-piece everything.
Yeah, that confidence can lead to less drag because you're more confident, you've got more feel to ride higher, so you're taking mast out of the water, things like that. When it comes to downwind, pretty important. So yeah.
Yeah, I think the timing was pretty good. We saw a lot of, when I left GoFoil, I was trying a lot of brands, and it was kind of the first time I tried lots of brands. And the biggest thing that prevented me from joining a lot of companies was the lack of stiffness. Like any flex just felt horrible. And the high modulus Axis mast was pretty much the reason I joined Axis. And so when you guys were designing all this stuff, there was this push for stiffness for the first time in the industry. I feel like in the foiling industry, everyone was sort of thinking more about, I don't know, like speed, and there were companies marketing flex as a good thing, which was like not that long ago. But I feel like when you guys were designing all that stuff, there was a lesson that we could learn from other foiling brands' mistakes, I guess, or what they'd learned. So they were all going stiffer. The Armstrong mast 18 months ago was a noodle from what I tried, and they've now come out with a stiffer mast. The Axis carbon mast before the high modulus mast was also super flexy. The alley one was stiffer. And all these brands, even within the fuse, you've just seen Lift come out with a stiffer mast. You've seen Unifoil come out with a stiffer mast. So it was kind of lucky in that we learnt those lessons from other brands and were able to design the system around stiffness, rigidity, and no compromise for that. Whereas other brands have had, but they can't really change their system too much because it's not going to work on their.
You guys bring it back to even the board designs, like if there's any flex in that connection anywhere, and even going back, 18 months, there was a lot of, you could feel flex in some of those boards, but now it's like rock solid, and that transfer between the pump and the foil, it's maximum efficiency, and it's so important.
Yeah, it's big time.
Yeah, we were definitely kind of, I guess, lucky to come into it when we did. I'm sure if we came into it early days like the other companies we just mentioned, I'm sure we would have done the same thing. We would have had super slick gear. It's just evolving, and we've come into it at a point where, I guess we've been foiling, most of us, well, all of us, since kind of the early days. So we're in a lucky position for sure, pretty privileged to come into it now, I think. It's definitely, obviously, no sort of genius thing there. All the brands have changed to that stiffer thing, like you were just saying, and it's kind of, we're releasing now with only a high modulus mast because we know that's the better option, same as every other brand now. So it's not like we nailed that or anything.
Reinvent the wheel.
I remember, like, for two years I had a one-piece everything, and I'd give people a go and they'd just tell me that my whole setup's way too stiff. I was like, I feel shit, it's too stiff. But I couldn't actually foil anything because I was just too unco as soon as I had any flex. And I feel like with our connections and the way, with all the meat we've got in them, it's on par with the one piece foil that I'd glassed all together, and which obviously wasn't something you can sell. It's like there's only one or two of them on the planet, and I feel like I could go from that foil straight to ours, and I think that was the first time I've ever been able to go from my one piece setup to another foil and not wobble off like a first time beginner.
Yeah.
So it says a lot about, I think, and most of that is in the chunky blends and connections.
Yeah.
It is hard to get used to something else, though, isn't it? Like, I know for those guys who would have used yours and said it was too stiff, they just would have had that muscle memory from using the flexi one, and it would have been felt the same as when you jumped on their gear and went, whoa, this is impossible. Like I jumped on someone else's gear, totally different to ours, the other day while he had to go on mine, and I was like, couldn't use it. It just took me like 3 waves to even, kind of make it foilable. It's just, I think your body has a lot to answer for there, where it just has that muscle memory. You can't get lost using.
We demoed it out to a mate of mine, Benny Raymond, just earlier today, and he's coming from a lift setup, and I guess the original or the older lift master. He was saying that he would have to time his turns differently because he was used to a little bit of like his brain had adapted to the flex. So when he was doing turns, he'd sort of spring out of them. And he was saying, he said like one of the hardest things for him to learn while he's out there today was adapting to the stiffness. And he's like, well, it's definitely nicer, but it was for him, it was something that was harder compared to what he was used to, which is exactly what you were saying. Let's I think that's a fair bit of talk about the 850 and the S series. Do we know what the S stands for? Did we come up with a name for that? I think it's code for something, isn't it? Moving on. Let's talk about when they are available and where they are available. So maybe Pongy, you can tell us that.
Yeah, I hope I remember everything.
Yeah,
you guys can remind me. Let's start right. So California first. Josh at the foil shop. Hawaii, Wet Feet. Jeff
Chang.
I guess from there, Surf FX in Queensland, Australia. WSS in Sydney, Australia.
Sammy Parker.
Sam, stand-up surf shop or the foil shop in Fremantle in WA.
Where are you going now? Yeah, north.
Screwed myself here.
Japan, I reckon.
Japan, yeah. So Vagabond Surf. Where to now, Jimmy?
Why don't we go to Switzerland?
Switzerland, they're not selling them yet.
Okay, we'll go to Spain.
Spain, Wind Paradise.
Wind Paradise,
Yeah, in Spain. And
that's Zavi, isn't it?
That's Zoe, yeah.
Yeah.
And that is it.
For now.
I really hope for now. Yeah, but there's a few other guys with some demos, and probably, we'll have a few other retailers for the second run, which will be in a couple of months. But yeah, they're the ones to go to for now for a demo and a
try out and chat about, I guess, chat to the shop about what's coming, and if you like what you try, whack an order down, because that's, you don't want to run out, don't want to miss out, I guess, because we haven't made many. There aren't many of these foils out there yet. That's just the way of starting up a business, I guess. We're really worried about running out because we're really happy with how they're going. And what about the date? Maybe let's go to Marcus. What date are we going with for the release? Not far off.
25th is going to be the official release date. So yeah, it should be on the shelf of all those places by then. It's on the air or on the water or whatever now. So pretty excited and nervous. So
all at the same time. Yeah, it's all happening. So I guess if there's any shops that want to be selling our foils, hit us up, because I guess for our, we got to start talking, and we're just doing an order for the next run, which what we'll talk about now is what's coming. And if anyone's been following along on our website or our Instagram, you might have noticed some other sizes in the S series, the 720, which I've really been loving, and the 980, which I've also been loving for different reasons. But I don't know, Dan, do you want to talk about what those are, and I guess and when they're available?
It's the first step up and the first step down in the S range, and I think it's a good point of difference of ours is that we're not going to have too many ranges. There's going to be a familiarity amongst the front wings, and they kind of go up in size or down in size. And we've got more than those, but they're all prototypes at the moment. We're thoroughly testing them. But the 720 and the 980 we've tested and we're releasing, and that's on the second drop. I'm a little bit. I'm at 83 kilos and I'm loving the 980. And in the winter in Perth, the river, you kind of default to the river because there's a lot of seaweed in the ocean on the northerly storms, and the 980 just holds the speed of those kind of bumps really well. It's a really, really fun foil to use. And I know Chad, who's a bigger guy as well, he's been proning it, and he was out there today ripping. So, the 980 I'm really excited about. I haven't tested the 720 a lot, but you guys have.
I've been loving it. I've been loving the 720. In the surf, it's off the chain, in my opinion. Doesn't lose too much pump either. Like, I literally felt like I stalled on foil today, like on this shallow sandbank. I should have, like, I'd no right to come out of the turn I did. And it was shallow. There was current, and I'd literally, like, you people talk about like grave digging, like you sort of pump so far down that like there's no speed that you've got nowhere to go. Literally generated speed and pumped back out. It was a pretty cool feeling, like to be able to get away with what I did. But just when it gets to the next level, like the 850 I love for what it hits, but the 720, as you'd expect, being a bit smaller, is kind of next level. But
the boys over here just love that 720. They've been all over it, and we did it downwind the other day. I took the 980, and it's good because you recognise it from the 850. You've been using the 850 for a while, and you get on the 980, and it's the kind of the same thing, but same but different kind of thing, Cool. And it was epic. It didn't lose a lot of speed like you'd expect. It was holding with swell. It was a 20 knot Perth day with 2.5 3 meter swell, and it was holding the swell. So it's a sick foil, the 980.
It's and we've also got so 980 and 720 what we're coming, and they're probably, we don't want to really say a date because we don't want to let anyone down, but it'll be coming into the Aussie summer, I guess. So Southern Hemisphere summer, they'll all be on the shelves, I'd imagine. If everything goes to plan, you can't promise anything, but that's what we're aiming for anyway. Yeah,
extra tails and extra fuses.
Yeah. And I think they're coming with it, with the 720 and 980, which is, just every brand's got ways you can kind of change. Some people like more, more glide out of their pump, which I guess the longer fuse kind of gives you like a lower cadence. Some people like to turn a bit tighter with the shorter fuse and sort of sacrifice that sort of, or you have to do a bit of a higher cadence pump. And then obviously the tail's more stability, less stability. More speed, less speed, all that sort of stuff.
With the tail, there's more flexibility. Long fuse, smaller tail, or some days you might go the bigger tail. And the cool thing is like shimming, and the boys over here, they just go so nuts. It's like a university degree on shimming.
They shim more than I do, that's for sure. I don't think about it too much, but actually, last time I shimmed, I think I sent a message to our group chat just to make sure I did it right. I want to go faster. Is this right? I was second guessing myself. But I got it right. And it went quicker. It did go faster for me. But
I don't think I've used a shim for 3 months.
when I first tried the foil, I had a shim.
Yeah, I gave you one.
Yeah.
So yeah, I gave the shim away and I haven't used it since. And like I feel like it sets up pretty spot on straight out of the box.
Yeah.
But yeah, like for little specialty things, like if you're trying to go a little bit quicker downwind, you could flatten out the rear a little bit. But you know, it sets up. Nothing comes for free. You know, you got to sacrifice a little bit. But yeah, it sets up pretty good. Or like if you're gonna have one setup with no shims, that's the way it comes out of the box, in my opinion.
Mm.
If you're a shimmer, you're a shimmer. Like it doesn't matter what brand you're on, you're going to be shimming.
You're going to be cutting up credit cards, whatever.
I liked how you explained it the other day, Dan, as trimming. Because like
when you fly planes, like you're there's a little thing called a trim wheel. I remember this because Dad is a pilot and he used to take me up, and yeah, you could effectively not fly the plane with anything but your feet and this little thing called the trim wheel, and it's obviously flattening out the tail or giving yourself more incline, I guess is what you'd call it. Yeah, that was a pretty intense group chat.
Yeah.
I woke up 85 messages between you boys.
We got to the bottom of it though, didn't we? I think we got to the bottom of it. Yeah. You were the bloody ones. Back on track, boys.
It's like get back to work, do something.
Yeah, do something productive. Yeah. Well, I think that's pretty
cool. One thing with the fuses, I think, is probably compared to other brands is the sizes are not the change isn't huge. Actually, I'm not actually sure compared to other brands, but I know there's a couple of brands out there where the jumps are quite big, like 10 centimeters or something nearly. Ours is like 30 mil. And I've found that the short one's really good for like for winging, for jumping. The short one, you like that change of angle really quick. The pop you can get with a jump is way better. With just a 30 mil change. I kind of surf with the medium, ding with the short or small, and downwind with the long. And it's just with that, I guess what's the change? 60 mil difference between the three. It's really noticeable. It was originally we did the 30 mil gap because that's the gap of the bolts. And we were thinking maybe one day of future-proofing something where you could have a one fuse that you could have the three sizes in with 6 holes. And that was kind of how we come up with the measurement. But for me, I've found it like perfect. I think too much shorter than the short, for me personally, it would be too much pitch instability when I'm winging. And longer would be too stiff for pumping downwind. But I'm sure people will want longer and shorter, and that's something for us to be playing with in the future. But I think it's a pretty good spread as far as our second release goes. Those measurements. I'm sure at some stage we'll end up with an extra small one, an extra large. Extra large might be good for learners or something. But like my partner's used our kit winging, and she hasn't got any water sports background, and she learned to wing on some really nice Axis gear with the standard fuse, which is quite long. And she got on our gear and found it pretty stable. So that was encouraging. I think she found it a fair bit more lively because of the area of the wing is so much smaller. But yeah, as far as the fuse lengths goes, that's kind of was pretty encouraging, I think, with that little test with her on it. But yeah, I think that as far as the second release goes, that's pretty good and will cover most people's bases. It'll be one of those things that those shops will probably have demos and try it, see what you like.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's exciting times. there's probably a few other things we'd want to talk about, but we're probably best zipping our lips and keeping it a secret until we've progressed a bit further down the R&D sort of phase. But the 920 and the 980 and the 720, I guess, is what's next. But the 850 is really what we're excited about for the moment, because that's been thoroughly tested, and obviously the 720 and 980 as well, but it's a little bit further behind in terms of the orders. But that was
in the first release, we got the 2 mask sizes too.
Oh yeah, the 75 and 85, which is exciting, because Sam over here at WSS Boards always hits me up. Have you got an 85 mask yet? Have you got an 85 mask I can borrow? I'm like, no, mate. They're doing some pretty heavy testing over in WA. We'll get one soon, though. Don't worry. It's funny because I think 75 and 85 is a great 2 great lengths, but I just feel like eventually there'll be one that's somewhere in between, but we got to start somewhere. It's like the same with the fuses. There's going to be lengths that everyone wants to fine tune their setups to exactly kind of what it needs to be. But I've really been enjoying the 75, like I said before, because the tips breach so well on that S series. But yeah, it's been good. It's been good. I think that's pretty much it. I think that's all we wanted to sort of get out there, talk about, I guess, how it all came to be, and get people excited about what's coming, because it's all about to hit shops real soon. So good to have a little meeting as well with the game.
The next 2 weeks is going to be amazing, and Marcus is doing the presentation, your university presentation, final thesis. And you guys are doing one, that's a big thing coming up, really, visiting the shop.
The info nights. Yeah, exactly right.
So on the 30th at Stand Up Surf Shop.
But then you guys are going, like, later on in July, you'll be visiting some of the shops internationally as well, hey?
Yeah, I'm doing the 30th as well at WSS Boards. Bit of an info night, have all the gear there, and sort of just kind of like we've done here, talk about what we like about it, and just answer any questions, I guess, that people have. But
I'm going to Surf FX. I don't think we've made a date yet, but we'll make one soon.
Stay tuned. Stay tuned for dates. Check out the Code Falls Instagram. There's dates to be on there. Yeah. I think that's it, isn't it? That's pretty well. That's all we want to chat about.
Yeah. Just try them out.
Get out there. All the shops in Australia anyway have demos. A bunch of shops internationally do too. So the best way to try it out and feel for yourself is demoing it. And we've made a point of making sure shops do have demos, because try before you buy. That's you know if you like it or not. We'd hate for someone to buy it and not like it. So get out there and try it, and you'll know. Once you try it, you want it.
Yeah, I think that's the best bet. Like, people come into the shop and ask me about it. It's kind of awkward talking about something you made. And it's a much less awkward conversation when I'm like, just try it, use it. And you tell me what you think. I don't want to talk up something that I've made and I'm selling. It's awkward
to talk it up, and then it's awkward if they love it and they're just telling you how much they love it. I feel even more awkward. Like, oh, yes, I'm glad you love it.
No, it's more awkward if they try it and they come back and say everything you said that it didn't do.
Yeah,
it hasn't happened, though.
I haven't had that yet. So
yeah.
One day. Yeah. I'll just tell them they're wrong. No.
Yeah. All right, I think we're going to wrap it up. We're going to go to bed, and you guys are probably got dinner or something to do. But thanks everyone for listening, and we'll try to do these, I don't know, every so often. And we've got something to share. We'll try to get on the screen and talk to you about it. But yeah, thanks, crew. Catch ya.
See ya.